Welcome to Wistful Woods Farm. I'm Erin and the compost is delivered. The beds are getting ready to go in and I wanted to take you on a tour and show you all that we have planned for our new garden on our new farm here in South Central Missouri. We wanted the garden to be close to the house, so it is just across the driveway, and the garden gate will go right here. The fence will go on this far side of the tree and encompass this other tree inside the garden. I wanted to keep this area with the wild plums. The former owner's grandmother planted them and they have since dropped new seedlings. This is a fallen tree that the kids decided to make into a cave, so it may stay permanently, but we may have to find a different location for it. This area just looks so beautiful, wild, and so I wanted to leave this as just a wild area with the old fence in place and wrap the gate. It will connect with that newer gate there and around this tree, across in front of this one, and around towards the driveway. But then going through this garden gate, there will be a path to the house, to the back door. There'll be a path over this way toward the ornamental garden, and beyond that, the other vegetable garden. But this path here will meander through a orchard of sorts. It'll be a smaller orchard. We have plans for a larger orchard down below the house with swales, but this one is more to give shade to this area, just because the vegetables really, in the heat of the summer sun, they can't take that kind of heat all day long. And so I found in my old garden that interspersing those fruit trees really did help to bring down the temperature in the summer and make it a lot easier to be in the garden in the middle of the day. So the path will go through here. It will tie around, so the fruit trees will be interspersed all throughout here. Underneath the fruit trees will be the berry bushes, because they do benefit from that little bit of shade during the day, just so they don't get sun scald on the berries. Underneath the fruit trees, so because we weren't ready to do so much wood chip for pathways yet, we are going to leave it kind of a meadow in between. But around the trees, it will be mulched with compost, so that we can plant perennials like lamb's ear and lavender, some horseradish and comfrey, and other ornamentals, just to make the garden a beautiful place to be. The pathway will wrap around here, not up against the fence, but straight through here and around the edge of the house. Here we will have 3 large 14 by 14 square in-ground garden beds. In the center, though, I'm going to add bean teepee trellises to kind of add height and structure to the garden here. And then hopefully the fruit trees that are here will cast enough shade in the afternoon for those leafy greens and things that I plant around the bean teepees in the garden beds. And then along this fence, we're going to do an elderberry hedge with roses and other flowering perennials in front of it. This cedar tree will come out because the cedars around here do suffer from cedar apple rust, which does affect your apple harvest. And so they suggest that you take out any cedar trees within 300 feet of where you're going to grow those apples. And over here, under this silver linden, since it is shady in the afternoon and the roots are too close to the surface for me to put in like an asparagus bed under here, I think I am going to do a berry patch over here in this corner. And we will have a path leading through to the larger vegetable garden over here. Later, after the trailer is moved, we are going to discontinue the use of this driveway just because it is too hard to pull in and out. So the fence behind this, the trunk of this tree, will draw straight across and back. The 14 by 14 foot beds in front of the house will be trimmed with these cedar logs. But I thought the cedar lined beds would look really, or the cedar rimmed beds would be really neat, rustic, and tie with the old look of the house. So walking back along here, the path will go through here, around, and then there'll be flower beds around the patio. And entering the ornamental garden, there'll be a trellis here with a garden gate, and on the trellis I'm going to do some climbing roses. Along this side of the house, it really doesn't get too much shade during the day, but it is raised up, and so it is going to be about an 8 to 10 foot wide bed. So we are going to put some larger shrubs and perennials in there. And then along here, we're going to do the grapes along this fence line. We're going to have a seating area under here because it does get wonderful shade in the morning. And then over here for shade, a seating area under here with roses in the afternoon. In the center here, I wanted to do a medicinal garden. So the pathway will run around the outside of the herb garden and down the back side of the other vegetable garden. This path here will go back all the way through the other vegetable garden. And there will be, in the front here, 4 6 by 18 foot beds with a 5 foot walkway through the length of the bed. Then 2 8 by 10 foot beds on either side, mirrored by another set of 4 6 by 18 foot beds. So in this back garden, there will be a 5 foot walkway down the center with cattle panel trellises for the full length of the garden. In these 6 by 18 foot beds, I wanted room enough so that the tomatoes could have part of the day in the shade so they didn't get so stressed. And so I wanted to put 2 rows of tomatoes on cattle panel trellises. Down the center of them, do carrots and celery so that they can benefit from that shade, but then I don't have to access it all the time because they are not frequently harvested, at least as frequently as the peppers that will run around the outside and the tomatoes will. The very edge of the beds will be onions and garlic. So there'll be the 4 beds here for those tomatoes that are 6 by 18. That extra 2 feet, because the cattle panel trellises are 16 feet long. The extra 2 feet at the edge of the bed is for the cattle panel trellises going over the tunnel to plant and grow the squash and cucumbers, red noodle beans, melons, things like that that need the extra space to grow. We're going to utilize the vertical growing space there. And then 2 8 by 10 foot beds on either side, and then another set of 4 of the 6 by 18 foot beds. And then in this back corner, I was just going to plant for now some annuals for pollinators. In this corner here, I was going to do Jerusalem artichokes and the asparagus bed. I may also do a Ruth Stout bed here and another one over here, but we'll see if I have room in the 6 by 18 beds for the tomatoes, or for the potatoes that I was planning on planting. But we'll have a seating area here for the afternoon and evening, And over here for in the morning. No, it looks really drab. The reason that the lawn is dead is that's where the tractor used to get parked. So it was really lacking in sun. And I may have to build up the soil. I may have trouble growing things there for a while. And so we may end up turning it into a sandbox for the kids or some sort of little play area in the middle of the garden. But that's our garden plan. This honeysuckle is literally humming with happy bees. Thank you for coming along today with me in the garden. I'm so excited to share all the steps and the process and progress as we build these gardens and make them a wonderful place to be and grow and love. Have a beautiful day.